So we're going to go through market failure first. Remember we went through government intervention last time, right? What was it about? Just a short recap first. Yes, what did we went through for chapter 4? We talked about taxes, we talked about subsidies, we talked about price floor, price ceilings, right? So the government comes in with some policies, they change the market. Okay, so they want to influence the market, changing the price, changing the consumption, and so on. So this chapter here on market failure, we give you a definition first. Okay, then we explain. So this one, the notes that we are doing together. So if you are typing, if you are writing as well. Okay, so market failure. You can see right from the last row. You all can see. Okay, you can see, huh? Okay. So this chapter on market failure, the one that you have notes on, we define first, all right? So this is a big problem, okay? It's a big problem. The reasons for that problems will come from different sources, all right? So I'm going to go through, for our syllabus, we have 3 types of market failure. So this is how we define market failure. So first of all, we say that we have a free market first. Okay, so we have a free market first. You guys remember the meaning for free market? This term. Okay, so there is no government intervention. Then what determines the equilibrium? Where should I start? Okay, I stand here. Sorry. Demand and supply. Okay, so demand and supply produces undesirable results. Okay, so for now, we just take it like that. So it produces undesirable results. Then the government may have to come in. Okay, so on its own, the free market doesn't achieve something. Allocative efficiency, remember how to explain the term? Allocative efficiency or efficiency? Efficiency. Okay, so allocative efficiency is to maximize social welfare, right? So this is a concern to the government because it wants to achieve allocative efficiency, right? So if it doesn't, or if the free market doesn't, then they have to come in. Okay, so the market has failed in this sense. All right, so this one, let me just add in. So this is maximum social welfare. Okay, so broadly, this is the issue. So the market is not performing well. It doesn't achieve maximum social welfare on its own. Okay, so we're going to talk about the sources of problems. And then we're going to talk about the solutions, the policies. Each of the policies will have their own pros and cons. Each of the problem, we need to know how to explain. We need to know some examples, diagrams. Then we'll be good to go. Okay? How many pages in the notes? Okay, so we have 3 types of problems. All right, going to go through first one. First one, we call this externalities. Okay, so this is, okay, so think of it this way. Market failure, think of it as an illness, as a sickness. All right, so the person is sick. Now we want to know what is he diagnosed with. So externality here is also quite a broad term. So it is something like cancer. So this person is sick, he's not healthy. Then we diagnose this person has cancer. But if it's cancer, is still not specific enough, right? We need to zoom in further. This person, what type of cancer does he have? Okay, so same thing, externality, we will categorize into a few subcategories. Okay, let's say the first one, positive. Okay, so first thing here, this is externality, but we add in some other adjectives. We have positive, and it comes from consumption. All right, so it is positive, and it comes from consumption. Okay, stand here. Okay, so positive, and it comes from consumption. So I'm going to play around with these 2 adjectives. Later on, there could be negative. Then consumption, we can contrast with production. All right, so if you look at this permutation combination, there will be 4 types of externalities. Okay, can follow, huh? So externalities is a broader term. Within that, we have 4 subtypes. Okay, so this is the first one. All right, this is the first one. So positive externalities of consumption. So with every new term, we are supposed to know the definition first. Okay, so how to define this problem? Okay, so the consumption of a good. Okay, please remember the definition, because almost all the questions will test on externality, almost. Okay, so if you cannot do this, then we are losing a lot of marks. And if you look at the case study structure, usually the last question will be about this chapter. Okay, usually the last question will be from this chapter, and if you flip through, the last question will be like 10 marks, 12 marks, right? You cannot just give up like that. Okay, so you have to do well for this chapter. So first thing, the definition. Positive here, positive externalities of consumption. So there are two parts to the definition. This part we usually tend to forget. That's why I underline bold for you. Okay, so you're going to probably remember the first portion. Consumption of a good or service imposes external benefit on third parties. Why would we remember this? Because if you look at the name, externalities, external, then consumption, consumption. So something will still trigger your memory. I sort of forget. Maybe after 2 months, I learn, I never use, right? I forget. So this one may trigger my memory a bit. Okay, I may be able to write this part. But the second part here, there's nothing to remind you, and we tend to forget. Okay, so the idea here is I consume something, I buy something, I use something, and it benefits someone else also. Okay, give you an example. Hello. Okay, so these are the typical examples, all right? Let's say I receive a vaccination. Okay, so let's say during COVID, right? I go for a vaccine shot. So I'm the consumer, I have received it. But based on this scenario where we say the vaccination creates the positive externalities, that means there are other people that also benefit, not just me. So I take my vaccine already and I come close to you, right? I come into contact with you. Me benefiting you in some ways. Say have. How? So I have received my vaccine shot, right? Let's say COVID vaccine, let's say any illness, right? I've taken the shot already. So that means I am probably protected against it, right? I wouldn't be sick. So if I come close to you, then how am I benefiting you? I wouldn't be spreading to you, right? So that is considered as an external benefit here. If you have heard of this, people saying this during COVID times, right? Let's say they will ask the celebrities, hey, did you take your vaccine shot? Then they will say, oh no, because everyone around me has already taken. So then I don't have to take because they are all safe. That makes me safe, right? So that is the effect here. So here we say that consuming the good imposes external benefit on the third parties, and these third parties do not pay for it. Okay, so they don't pay anything for it, they just receive the benefit. So one example of healthcare, vaccines. All right, so that's one. Let's say for education. So I go to school, I receive my education, I'm highly educated, I can do blah, 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 what jobs. How do I benefit someone else? Who could benefit? Okay, another more specific scenario. Let's say today I'm the scientist, right? I finished my education, I came up with the COVID vaccine. Okay, so just now the example was any random person got the shot, right? Now I'm the scientist that developed the vaccine. So who do I benefit? Everyone. So education here, by and large, it could lead to higher economic growth. It could lead to development of the economy. It could lead to more goods and services for people to consume. So everyone generally is going to improve their welfare level. Okay, makes sense to you? Okay, so what we need to know, these are the basics. So first thing, definitions, please remember. Then this part, please don't forget to write in your answer. Okay, so in the we have an upcoming exam, right? Okay, so this chapter will be tested. Okay, externality should be inside also. So please include this. All right. Example, you don't need to remember your own, but you need to roughly still know that these are the common examples. Okay, so for case study, they will give you the context, the example. Just use it to write your answer. Okay, so far? Missed out anything? Clarify? Okay, so we're going to go on. So what happens here is based on this scenario, we say that the marginal external benefit, A and B, will arise. Okay, so from here, this is the definition. Then in our example, whether healthcare, whether education, we've given the explanation just now, the example. So coming back to the theory, because I consume something and benefit someone else, we call these people the third parties. They are going to, or we are going to see the marginal external benefit arising. That means now in the market itself, there is this thing called the external benefit. These third parties have received a benefit. Okay, so then let's move on. How do we define this thing? Okay, so this is the definition. The explanation, the example was just now. Now you put it into a concept. So we need a specific name for it. So MEB, or marginal external benefit. So we say that it's the external benefit to third parties when the next unit of a good is consumed. So external benefit here, this is the same thing as what we see above. All right, external benefit. Then now we add in the word marginal. So marginal, if you recall from the first chapter, right? Marginal benefit, marginal cost. It means the next unit. So the whole thing put together, this is the definition for marginal external benefit. I consume one more unit of a product, it will benefit the third parties. Okay, so one unit at a time. Okay, questions? Still easy. Okay, add on the content. Okay, we explain how. So first thing, we said that there is external benefit, right? The third party effect. So in this case, it's a benefit flowing to the third parties who do not pay for it. Okay, once this arises or this happens, theoretically, it's going to cause a split. The word divergence here means it splits. Okay, so it's separated. So there are two things that become separated. So first one is the marginal private benefit, right? Or in short, we call this the MPB. So this is the benefit flowing to consumers when they consume one more unit. So if I take the shot, let's say I take the COVID shot, huh? So what is the MPB here? Okay, I receive, right? I'm the consumer. So what is my private benefits? An example? Okay, so I'll become immune, right? I'm protected. So that is the example of the private benefits. Private only going to consumers. But now in this case, we're considering the whole society. Okay, so society cannot just be me and myself, right? So it includes firms, even third parties. Okay, so now we see social benefit also comes in. So social benefit, this is where you consume one more, how much benefit flowing to society. So in this case, when I consume, I protect myself. That's the MPB. I also protect people around me. That is the external benefit. So when we add together, it becomes the social benefit. Question? One more time, huh? Private benefit is only going to consumers. I pay for this, I consume, finish. But for products like healthcare, education, they are a bit special. They also benefit third parties. Okay? So I benefit, but other people also benefit. Then from government's point of view, now if you look at the whole society, when I consume something, I benefit plus other people also benefit. So the whole society's benefit is bigger than the consumer's benefit alone. Make sense? Okay? Again? Okay. So when I consume something, that is my own private benefit. So now I'm protected against COVID, right? Finish. That's my own benefits. Then if I consume, I'm actually benefiting other people also. They are protected. I will not spread to them, right? So in that sense, they are also benefiting. So when we look at the whole society's point of view, how much benefits are there? So there will be my own benefit plus the third party's benefit. So you add together, all this will become the whole society's benefits. Make sense? So mine and someone else add together is the whole society's benefit. Okay, so now there's an issue. If you look at MPB and MSB, which one is more? Social is higher or private benefit is higher? Social, right? Because it has extra thing, which is the external benefit. Okay, so then, okay, we're going to draw the diagram for this. Okay, I'll find one to paste here so that the recording can see because the marker ink is too faint. Okay, so I copy first, then I'll draw together. Use this thing. It looks fun, right? Okay. Let's do together. Here can see? You can see how? Okay, I draw here then. Okay, so first thing is you have the two axes. So you still have quantity and we still have the price. Okay, those you guys can see, huh? Okay, so we're going to add in more things. We have cost, we have benefit. Okay, you want me to slow down, then you draw together, or I finish the whole thing? Whole thing first, huh? Okay, so in terms of label, this is still like demand supply. Quantity is the same, but we add in cost and benefit at the side. Okay, next thing to do, the demand supply curve. So here and here, this is your cross, right? The usual demand supply. Of course, this will give us the equilibrium, Q0 and P0. Okay, but now we give it another name. So demand curve becomes the marginal private benefit. So this is the demand curve. All right, this is the demand curve. So demand curve will look at how much benefits I get from the next unit that will determine the price I am willing and able to pay. Sounds familiar? Too much for today? Okay, so how much am I getting from the next unit will determine the price that I'm willing to pay. So private benefit curve and demand curve, they are the same thing. All right. Then on the supply side, we have the marginal private cost. Okay, so private benefit, private cost, they will correspond. So it's one pair. This will be the supply curve. Then here we get the equilibrium P0, Q0, same as usual. Okay so far? Okay so far? Okay, now we're going to add on. So you see here, got extra curve, right? So just now we say that the social benefit is higher than the private benefit. Okay, what we mentioned just now. So we add in this extra curve. So here, this is the marginal social benefit. Okay, so benefit curve is the demand curve. Since we say that social is higher than private, then it will have to be on the right side. Just like when we say demand increase, we shift right. Same thing. So now it's on the right side and we have another equilibrium point here. Let's say we call this QS. Then we find the price. Okay so far? Okay. So this is social benefit. Private, one pair. Social cannot match with private. So what happens? You have to give it another name as well, equals to MSC. So social benefit, social cost. Private benefit, private cost. So it's private and private, one pair. Social, one pair. So you get two equilibrium points in the diagram now. Any part to repeat? Again, so okay, start from here then. So private benefit, private cost. That will be the demand curve and the supply curve. Okay, so from here we get Q0, P0. These are the usual equilibrium points. All right, then we need to insert the social benefit. So based on this story that we said just now, here, right? So we say that social benefit is higher. So this is what we have. It is higher. So when it's higher, we will put the curve on the right side. Okay, so we put it on the right side, just like when we increase the demand curve shifts right. So it's positioned on the right side. So marginal social benefit is here. Then, because social must match with social, same level. So we give the private cost another name, is also the social cost. So in this case, because the problem is just positive externalities of consumption, on the benefit curve side, there is a divergence, there's a split. So on the benefit curve, we end up having two curves. But the cost curve, no problem. So they still are the same one curve. Okay, so if this problem happens, you will split the curve. Just like we are good friends. If you quarrel, then you split. We don't talk to each other, right? So become 1-1. But you are good friends, no problem, then you're still the same group of friends. Okay, something like that. So now here, this one they split up. This one doesn't split. So private, social, still the same curve. Okay, then we have two quantities already. Q0 from the first point, QS from just now. So what are these two, right? So, okay, this one erase. Okay, so Q0 represents the actual consumption. So in the market itself, let's say I want to decide whether to take the vaccine or not. I will consider whether I want it and how much cost there is. Just like if I ask you, do you want to buy bubble tea later? So you think whether you're very thirsty or not. Then you are asking yourself, what is the cost? How much to pay? Do I need to walk very long to the shop? Because that's also a cost, right? The time spent, the effort, the energy. So if the benefit is higher, I will go and consume. If the cost is higher, I will not consume. This one okay? Make sense? Okay, now, for the consumers, they only look at their own private benefits and the private cost. Then they decide, okay, we are going to consume Q0. So in the whole Singapore, for example, Q0 units of the vaccines will be taken. Let's say, for example, 5,000. This is 5,000. That means 5,000 people feel that it is worthy to take the vaccine shot. Some people don't want too much effort, have to go and queue up. Some people feel it's not safe, so we don't take. Only 5,000 people receive the shot, for example. Okay? Make sense? Now, QS, this is the socially optimal quantity. Okay? So from government's point of view, because when I consume, it benefits other people, therefore, more people should consume. Correct? Because one person receives the benefit, there could be like 3-4 other people benefiting. I received the shot already, I go home. My parents are now safe. Hello, my siblings are now safe. They all don't get COVID from me. So then, what should we do? More people should take the shot, right? Because you take the shot, benefit 3-4 people. Another person take the shot, another 3-4 people. So we should take more shots. So 5,000, is it enough? Should we start at 5,000? No, we should go further. So where is the best quantity? This here is the best quantity. Okay, so this quantity, how do we get it? We got from MSB and MSC curves together. That means if you consume here, it will maximize social welfare. This quantity is going to maximize social welfare, but we only consume up to here. Okay, so are we falling short or have we exceeded? Too little, too much. Too little, right? So too little, this is less than this. The problem here will be under consumption. Okay, so it leads to the issue of under consumption. This is something beneficial to society, but we consume too little. And this is the graph that shows it. That as a result is social welfare maximized. Are we maximizing social welfare right now? Have, don't have, 50-50. This is the quantity that maximizes social welfare. This is your actual consumption. Right now, are we maximizing social welfare? Don't have, because we are not here yet. We are only here. So the problem, under consumption. This is the outcome. So then, if you see this diagram, we still need to shade this area. Okay? So we still need to shade the area, because if you shade the area, it means that a certain portion of the social surplus is now missing. Okay? Social surplus, remember? Remember social surplus? Okay. Social surplus, we drew this sometime back, right? I think 3-4 weeks ago. Okay, here. So we drew it as such. This is the demand supply, and then equilibrium point, then we shade, right? This is consumer surplus, producer surplus. If you get the full area, that means you maximize social welfare. Now in this case, we are not. If you are not maximizing social welfare, then how much of this area are you losing? So we need to show in the graph what part are we missing. So this one, okay. Give you the shortcut method. So I erase this. So first thing is the area is going to be a triangular shape. Okay, so your deadweight loss is going to be a triangular shape. If you have a square, circle, or wrong. Okay, so it'll be a triangular shape. Second thing is that the tip is pointing towards QS. Okay, the tip is pointing towards QS. So triangle has a shape, right? Triangle has a shape. So the tip here is pointing towards QS. QS is here. So the triangle will be here, this part. So we call this the deadweight loss. Okay, so here we call this the deadweight loss. Okay, then the diagram is done, finished. Okay, once we get the hang of it, it'll be easy. All right, it'll be easy. So every time you see this, just do the same thing. This one has a template for the answer. All right, once you're familiar, then you'll just get for 5 marks for the question. Okay. Questions? Anything? Too easy? Too easy? This one, if you master, then you can go for the exam already. Exam until this chapter. This will be tested. This will be tested. It may be another problem. We went through... Okay, I sit down. We went through... Where was the graph? Okay, so we went through this on positive consumption. It can be negative. It can be production. So there are 4 types of externalities. But the explanation is more or less the same, right? If you understand this, you just change a bit. You can do for the other 3 types. So externalities is 1. We have public goods, second one, and then imperfect information, third one. Okay, so now it doesn't make sense, it's okay, right? We'll go through. So once we finish the 3 types, then we are done for this chapter, then we'll be able to go for exam. Okay, so it's just 20 plus pages, right? Just go back, read, short story book. We haven't been meeting for a few weeks, right? So you have a good rest. Okay, done. Not done, huh? Don't need the screen already, right? Just this. Alright, okay, then I change the screen. So if you guys where is it here? Okay, if you guys have this, you can take this one is from the previous session, the Chippergeddon document. Okay, inside that we have 2 case studies. Okay, this one, the one on the chips, I passed it to you guys end of the last session in August. So this is the second case study inside. All right, this is on the healthcare. Okay, so we're going to try one market failure question, exactly what we just went through. Okay, you're fine. I move on, huh? Okay, so this question is on global healthcare. This is on global healthcare. The second one, right? I have to flip to the back. So then we come to the question. We are trying out this one. Okay, so we look at part F, right? A simple 5-mark question. So using extract 4 and with the aid of a diagram, so we have to use extract 4 to draw something, explain one reason why market prices do not reflect the true price of services to society in the healthcare market. Okay? Explain one reason why market prices do not reflect the true price of services to society in the healthcare market. So first of all, right, it doesn't tell us which concept. It could be elasticity, demand supply, government intervention, or even market failure, right? So how do we know? So first clue, you see, this is a one little clue, right? So healthcare. So whenever you see like healthcare, cigarettes, alcohol, education, then probably it will be this one. Probably. All right, it's a little clue here. So you see healthcare, this should be market failure. So that's one. Second clue is that the market prices do not reflect the true price of services. So market price is this one, P0. So in the actual market, people pay P0 and they consume Q0. This is the actual price, actual consumption. But it doesn't reflect the true price. So the true price here is PS, the socially optimal quantity is QS. So it's saying that these two things don't match. These two things don't match. All right, that's hinting at us. So we're supposed to use this for the answer. Okay? Okay, so let's look at the extract. All right, having a good day so far, right? Okay. Extract 4. Okay, let's take a look, huh? So for most commodities, pricing is determined based on supply and demand, but healthcare is far from being a classic market for goods and services. Unlike other commodities, consumers of healthcare usually know far less and do not have complete information. So if you remember the question says to explain one reason, right? The question here, it says to explain one reason. So in fact, there could be 2 reasons. Okay, so in the healthcare market, there could be 2 problems at the same time. Just like this person can have cancer and diabetes at the same time, right? But if the doctor wants to cure one disease first, they want to find out one disease first, then we have to see what it is. Right, so here, there are 2 problems, but it's only 5 marks and they only require one reason. So the first reason in the extract, it says that they do not have complete information. So this could be one of your answer, but we haven't gone through yet, so we are not using that. Okay, we use something else, right? Externalities. So we move on. This makes consumers less sensitive to prices. However, prices provides important signals to healthcare providers, given that they determine the level of financial resources to deliver healthcare services. Important externalities also exist in healthcare. So they give you 2 reasons already, right? They only need one, whichever you feel comfortable to answer. So complete information or lack of, this is the first reason. Second reason, important externalities. Okay, so we will not use this, we haven't gone through, we will use the second one, this one for our answer. All right, 5 marks, roughly it will be 1 page of your foolscap. Okay, again, depending on how big you write. All right, okay, so success note here, implying that investments have broad benefits for communities and the public. So this part we can highlight. So externalities, nothing much, but we will highlight this. implying that investments have broad benefits for communities and the public. So we will highlight this until public. Okay, so we will use this in our answer later. Successfully treating someone with tuberculosis, for example, benefits not only the patient, but also the community in which he lives. In this instance, price setting can be used to ensure adequate funding for public health goods, such as uncompensated hospital care that benefit communities. Thus, prices should reflect the value of services to society. Okay, so we highlighted here, right, until public. Then we can continue saying that successfully. Okay, one more time. So we're going to highlight here, implying all the way to public. Then we can continue successfully all the way to in which he lives. Okay, so in the answer, we need an example. So you have to explain what type of external benefits are there. You cannot just say, oh, there is marginal external benefit, full stop. Nothing already. So the answer will require us to give an example. So the example, if they give you this, then just use. If they never, let's say here they don't have, right? They only tell you communities and the public, full stop. Then you write your own. Okay, but we still have to read, then whatever they give us, we'll have to copy into the answer. So this will be the portion that we are using for the question. Easy? Okay, so let's move on. Okay, so again, we are doing part F, all right? Okay, done. So first portion, we will mention the problem. So we go in and say that there are positive externalities of consumption. So we define it first, right? That's why we need the definition. So consumption of healthcare, just now at the start, we define it as good or service. This was generally. Now, because they say it's the healthcare market, we will just contextualize. So it's the market, the consumption of healthcare imposes external benefit to third parties who do not pay for it. Okay, same thing, please remember the second portion, they do not pay for it. Then we move on. So the first part here is just to define the situation. Then after that, we will give the example. Okay, so we're going to give the example from extract 4. So extract 4, okay, mostly done. All right, so we define the problem, then after that we'll give the example. Okay, so example here we say that they talk about tuberculosis. So this portion taken from extract 4, we're supposed to use information there. Okay, so be very clear that you are copying. We need to show such case study skills. So once you are done, then we explain a bit further, saying that people around the patients who are now okay, they are recovered, they will not contract the disease. So that will give you the example of the external benefit, and that will then lead to the divergence between MSB and the MPB. So example of your external benefit, then say that it arises, it exists, and it will cause the divergence between social benefit, private benefit. So there'll be a split. Okay, done, All right. So I'm going to add in extra notes, but this one, if you are writing, right, probably you write at the side. Okay, not part of the answer, just for your own reference. Okay, I put this in red. So third parties. So this one you just write at the side or you just put it somewhere. This is not part of the answer. So what we say here is the third parties have to be humans. Okay. Subsequently, we are talking about negative externalities. So for example, the factories produce t-shirts. Then after they finish the coloring or whatever, they dump the waste into the river. Okay, so now it's positive, right? All the good things. Suppose I'm a factory, I produce something and I produce already, I pollute the water. I dump the waste into the river or we release the smoke into the air. So in that case, there is also third parties, right? But when we write or when the extract tells us, they will say things like the fishes will die, the environment becomes dirty, full stop. Then if we just copy and we say that, oh, the fishes have now died, seals have nothing to eat, the polar bears nothing to eat, then that will not be considered as a third party. Okay, so your third party has to link to a human somehow. Then the whole explanation will be complete. Okay, make sense? So this detail also important. Okay, so once it's done, then we'll continue. Okay, done. All right, so MPB mostly done. So just now we talk about divergence. We define MPB and MSB, private benefit and social benefits. Okay, so we give the definition. Once you are done, then we will draw the diagram. All right, so whether you look at the left side or the right side, it's the same thing. Okay, it's the same thing. The right side one is we added in a bit more, a bit detail lah. Okay, it's just a very little bit. So if you want, you can actually label market for healthcare. All right, if you want to have a nice label. Then the other thing is this one in purple, so don't have to draw anything. This one just for your reference. There is no arrow in between. Like here just now, we didn't add any arrows, right? Usually when we have two curves, let's say for demand, supply, elasticity, we will usually have the arrows. Okay, shifting right, shifting left. But in this case, there is no shifting. It is just comparing where we are now. So MPB is where we are now, right, with the benchmark. So the benchmark is MSB. Okay, so I'm comparing the current situation and the optimal situation. There is no shift. It is just comparing two situations. Okay, so don't have the arrow, huh? Then the last part is to include your shaded area, the deadweight loss. Okay, so if you need to find hard to memorize where, then you just use the two steps. So it's supposed to be triangular and it's supposed to be pointing towards QS. Okay, so two steps for the area. Huh? So first one is triangular, it's a triangle shape. Then the tip itself will be pointing towards QS. Okay, so however they change, whether it is positive production, negative consumption, negative production, then we just use the same step. First one triangular, second one pointing towards QS. Okay, then you don't have to memorize, oh, this one is pointing here. Another diagram can be this triangle. Okay, now is this one. If you change the problem, the triangle can be below this one. Okay, so there are always like two triangles to choose. So you can choose the one pointing towards QS. So once you are done with the diagram, so we have explained the problem. We have mentioned what's the problem. We gave the example of the external benefit. Then we talk about divergence. Then we explain MPB, MSB. Okay, so once it's done, we draw in the diagram. Diagram done already, we will explain the quantities. Okay, then finish already. All right. So this one here is color coded. So you have three parts. Okay, for easy comparison. So please have this. Don't miss out anything. So for each of the quantity, we are supposed to mention the three parts. Okay, so we have to mention what it is. So that's why here we wrote actual versus socially optimal. Okay, so actual consumption, how do we get it? Right? How do we get it? So based on the graph, where is that point? It is by the intersection between MPB and MPC curves. Then why here? Okay, so what is this? How do you get it? And then why here? Why consume here? Because for consumers, we want to maximize satisfaction. So we'll compare our private benefit and our private cost to determine Q0. Okay? So am I going to buy the bubble tea? I will compare my own benefit and cost. All of us do the same thing. Then we will see what is the total consumption in the whole market or the whole country. Then the same thing for QS. QS is the socially optimal quantity, and then it will take into account the MEB imposed on third parties. That means we will factor in the external benefits. That's why it is on the right side, this curve here. So once we factor this in, then we will get our QS, and this will maximize the social welfare. Right? So this quantity QS maximizes social welfare. Last part, we get it by the intersection between MSB, MSC curves. So then that will complete the two quantities. But we haven't finished yet, we have to compare. So last part, then we are done. Okay. So once we explain the quantities, then we need to compare, all right? So we'll say that Q0 is less than QS. There is underconsumption in the free market. So the yellow parts here we need to have, right? This is a keyword, underconsumption. We are not consuming enough. So compared to the socially optimal level, compared to the benchmark, we are not getting there yet. There is underconsumption. Therefore, there will be a deadweight loss. So deadweight loss, that means you have a social surplus that's missing, some area that's missing. Then it will lead to lack of allocative efficiency and then market failure. All right, so that will be the answer for this question. Quite okay, right? Quite easy. Okay, so this is the template. All right, they can change the scenario. It can be positive, it can be negative. we just follow the same structure. All right. So first thing, you identify the problem, you define, then you give the example from the extract, then say where the divergence is. Right. It could be here on the benefit curve, it could be on the cost curve side. Then after that, we will draw the diagram and then explain the quantities. So this part actually is the same thing, right? I think this one will be the same for all the externality. Once you are done, then you compare, is there under consumption? There could also be over consumption. After that, deadweight loss, market failure.